Today, we're going to try to make sense of a feeling that I think a lot of us have, the sense that the ground is shifting under our feet. And we're going to do it by looking at two stories that seem totally different, one from a quiet, local hardware store and the other from the national stage. It all starts with this idea. It's not some massive earthquake, not yet anyway. It's more like a subtle vibration, a kind of low hum that something's not quite right. A feeling that the common ground we all thought we were standing on is starting to crack. So where does a feeling like this even come from? Well, it's usually not from the big headlines or the loud political speeches. It often starts in the quiet, everyday moments of our lives, where these small, almost invisible changes start to add up. And that really gets to the heart of it. This isn't just about people disagreeing on things. It's something deeper. It's a breakdown of shared reality. It's that really unsettling feeling you get when you realize the map you've been using your whole life, well, it just doesn't seem to match the world around you anymore. To really get what this feels like on a human level, let's zoom in on our first story. It's about a man named Frank. He owns a hardware store, and what he's been going through really puts a face to this feeling of division. So picture this. One of his young employees, Chloe, corrects a longtime customer, Mrs. Gable, for saying ma'am. Chloe tells her it's better to ask for someone's pronouns. And the thing is, Mrs. Gable isn't angry. She's just completely baffled. A simple, polite greeting that was totally normal yesterday is suddenly a minefield. That little piece of common ground just vanished. And Frank's little hardware store moment, it's not just some random anecdote, it's actually a tiny snapshot of a huge trend. The data shows that all across the country, people are pulling back. Participation in community groups, local clubs, even just getting together for family dinners, it's all plummeted. We're becoming more and more isolated from each other. This tremor gets even deeper when Frank is on a video call with his granddaughter, Lily. He talks about loving the book The Last of the Mohicans as a kid. It was an adventure. For her, it's colonialist propaganda. They're looking at the exact same thing but seeing two completely different, totally incompatible worlds. It's not a communication gap anymore. It's a reality gap. So, what's the end result of all this for Frank? The new rules for language, the disappearing community, the disconnect from his own family? It isn't making him angry. It's just leaving him with this profound, aching loneliness. He feels like a stranger in a world he thought he knew. Okay, so hold that feeling of quiet loneliness, because now we're going to see how that private tremor can erupt into a very loud, very public battle cry. We're pivoting from Frank's quiet story to the public stage and a figure named Erica Kirk. Now, before she became a political figure, Erica Kirk was already very comfortable with cameras around. From competing as Miss Arizona to being on a reality TV show, she knew how to navigate the media landscape. And that skill, well, it would turn out to be incredibly important. Her launch into the political world really began with an unimaginable personal tragedy. After her husband died, she shared her family's grief with the world, including the absolutely heartbreaking detail of telling their 3-year-old daughter that her father was on a work trip with Jesus. Her private pain was transformed into a powerful public story. And that was the turning point. Her story wasn't just seen as a personal tragedy anymore. It was framed as a call to action. Her grief became a symbol, a rallying point, a public battle cry that tapped directly into that deep underlying feeling of loss and division that so many people, like Frank, were feeling in private. So on one hand, we have Frank's quiet, personal loneliness. And on the other, Erica Kirk's loud, public battle cry. They seem like they're from different universes, right? But what if they aren't? Let's connect the dots. Okay, so here's the connection. The private tremor, that feeling of confusion and loneliness that people like Frank are experiencing, it creates a vacuum. When our shared understanding of the world starts to break down, people feel lost, and they start looking for new stories to make sense of it all. And that's where the public expression comes in. Figures like Erica Kirk step into that vacuum. They take that complicated, quiet anxiety, and they channel it into a clear, simple, powerful story of us versus them. So in the end, what's happening in a small hardware store in one town and what's happening on the national news are not separate things at all. They're reflections of the exact same chasm that's opening up in our society. The quiet unease felt by millions is the fuel, and the public battle cry is the spark that ignites it. And all of this leaves us with a really big, and honestly a pretty scary question. If the very bedrock of our shared stories, our shared language, our shared trust, if all of that is cracking apart, what comes next? What can you possibly build on such unstable ground?